Okay, good evening. I'm Nina Walden. I'm the Managing Director of Chai Mitzvah, and I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're looking forward to an interactive and moving evening featuring Chai Mitzvah's signature text-based discussions. Before we get going, I just want to give some Zoom reminders. Please mute while the artists and musicians are sharing their works. When we go to breakout rooms, please unmute yourselves so that we can all share. The chat box is our sign-in book for this event. So please sign in with your name and where you're from. You can add other messages as well. We've chosen poems, prayers, and songs that we hope will be uplifting. They focus on harmony, which we need so much today. The program should last about an hour, but if it runs a few minutes over, please stay with it. We think you'll find it worthwhile. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Rabbi Deborah Smith, whom we affectionately call Reb Deb. She received smicha through the Aleph Ordination Program in 2016 and is the founding rabbi of Congregation Or Halev in New Jersey. Reb Deb received her master's in Jewish studies from Gratz College in Philadelphia. She serves as rabbi in residence at Drew University Methodist Theological School in New Jersey and co-chairs a chapter of the Center of Salam Shalom. She's a faculty member of Aleph Sheret Connection. Please mute yourself, guys.
Nina, unmute yourself because I had to mute everybody.
Sorry. Okay. As I was saying, Reb Deb is a faculty member of Aleph Sheret Connections, which is one of the places she teaches Musar to a virtual community of learners from all over the United States. Reb Deb also teaches Musar online and leads wonderful virtual events like this one at Chai Mitzvah. Tonight's program will feature artists and musicians who contributed to her recently published book, Words from the Heart, Multi-Faith Prayers, Poems, and Blessings. Okay, Reb Deb.
Okay, I'm going to take it away and welcome everybody. And if you have just come in, please mute yourself so that we don't have any background noise. While Tisha B'Av is a time of grief, we gather here tonight to turn our mourning into dancing. We gather to remind ourselves that hope can grow from destruction, loss, and grief, sometimes in unexpected ways. On this unique evening in our spiritual and historical cycle of the Jewish year, we gather to learn and share songs and prayers of redemption, growth, hope, compassion, and healing. We gather to channel our sadness and mourning into hope. We hope that each of you finds this evening meaningful. And now a musical interlude to move us into the main part of the evening. Psalm 137 tells us, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat and wept as we remembered Zion." Please listen to the song Elit Zion, My Zion.
Elit Zion ועריה כמו אישה בציריה וכיפתו לך חגורת שק על נעוריה עלי ארמון אשר נוטש בהשמצון עדריה ועל ביאת מחרפי אל בתוך מקדש חדריה עלי גלות משרתי אל נעימי שיר זמריה ועל דמם אשר שופך כמו מימי יאוריה. עלי תפל מגיה, בני דוד גביריה, אשר חשך ושרו כתריה עלי שמך אשר חולל בפי קמי מצריה ואל תחם יצווחו לה כשור שמה ומראה אלי ציון ועריה כמו אישה בציריה וכיבתו לך גורצה על בל נעוריה
Tonight, we will share poems, blessings, and prayers, and songs from my new book, Words from the Heart. Multi-faith prayers, poems, and blessings. The book addresses themes of peace, compassion, justice, and mercy. And tonight, there are several of the more than 40 authors and contributors here to share and discuss their selections with us. Randy Stein will be our first reader, and she will share a piece called Shofar. Randy is from Amherst, Massachusetts, and is an educational consultant and dance and movement therapist. As you may know, Tisha B'Av marks the destruction of both ancient temples in Jerusalem. You might remember that the shofar was used to call the Israelites to the temple at key times in the cycle of the Jewish year. The sounding of the shofar can be compared to an alarm clock that not only wakens us from slumber, but also awakens us to our responsibility in the world. The shofar is physically nothing more than a ram's horn, but for us, it is a spiritual alarm. We introduce Randy's reading with a shofar blast, done by Dan Berrick, who is a member of my community and is our Baal Tekiyah. Tekiyah. Okay, one more try. There you go. Okay, Yasher Koach. That's my shofar that I gifted to Dan the first year that he blew shofar for our community. Randy has a reading called Shofar, and I'd like her to share it with us, and then we're going to have a discussion on her selection for a bit in some breakout rooms. Randy. Unmute.
Okay, I've unmuted.
There you go.
myself.
Okay.
I brought my shofar just in case I was going to be asked. It's quite a big one. Thank you. The blast of the shofar is ancient, animal, a cry, a plea, piercing the walls you have erected around yourself to keep your life measured and small. No, says the shofar, make your life as big as you can and for as long as you have time for. Don't play it safe. Dare to live life fully. Shatter your own limitations. Tekiyah.
Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are going to go to breakout rooms, which will be kind of automatic. And when we go, we have a question that I am going to put into the chat box so that when you're in your breakout rooms, you'll actually be able to remember what the question is.
And they need to unmute in there.
Yes, please remember to unmute yourself when you're in the breakout room. The first question is, what things prevent us from breaking down our walls, interpersonal or achievement? What has been or could be the tekiyah that moves you forward? So again, I'm going to put this into the chat box. And so you'll be able to find it when you go into your breakout rooms. And now we're going to magically be transported into breakout rooms. Yes, Randy.
Thank you. One person was in the middle of what sounded like a pretty important sharing when it was automatically stopped. I wonder if we could just give her a moment to finish her sharing.
Yes, we'd certainly like that, of course.
Okay, great. Go ahead. I think you know who you are, I hope. But you have to unmute. I didn't catch her name, but I hope.
What room were you in?
Gloria. It's Gloria.
Okay,
Ah.
great.
Great, Gloria, please share. We're sorry that it ended so abruptly.
Or cite the question again so that I can reorient my thinking.
Okay. So we heard the poem about the shofar, and the question is, what things prevent us from breaking down our walls, interpersonal or achievement? What has been or could be the tekiah that moves you forward?
Okay, I think that perhaps the thing that holds me back or that can deter me is sometimes my own self-doubt and my fear, but also my desire for change and for learning and for improving my life. So that keeps me, that's my tekiah, the desire to understand that learning is a lifetime journey. And I welcome every opportunity, and especially the fact that I've had the honor and privilege of studying with Reb Dev, and it's been very inspiring. And so that's my tekiah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Gloria.
Okay.
Nina, shall we go on to the next one?
Yes,
Okay.
let's do it.
It's my pleasure to next introduce Shannon Curtis and her husband, Jamie Hill. Shannon is a songwriter, singer, storyteller, speaker, and author. And Shannon and Jamie provide unique community-driven house concerts throughout the country, featuring their original compositions. They will contribute a song tonight that was in the book, and it's called Shade. It's a song about growing.
The soil, we dug a hole, we cursed and sweat, we paused to catch our breath. We aren't naive, our backs will ache, smashing this clay. We've done it before, we broke the soil. We lowered down sprouted roots. We laid a bed of nourishment offered by the dead, buried beneath the blackest earth and water for its thirst. There are holes in the ground. We lowered down. What an outrageous act of faith to plant this fragile life. With expectation it will grow against the winds of time. We tend the limbs, we measure years. In pinkish blooms we know outrageous act of faith to plant so that one day a younger soul will pass by here and lay down in the shade. What an outrageous act of faith to plant so that someday a younger soul will pass by here and lay down in the shade. We broke the soil, we lowered down. We aren't naive, our backs will ache, smashing this clay. Our hopes in the ground, we lowered down. We've done this before. We broke the soil.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. That was just beautiful. And one of the things Shannon and Jamie said in their song was, what an outrageous act of faith to plant this fragile life with the expectation it will grow against the winds of time. So what we're going to discuss is, what in your life would you consider an outrageous act of faith? Going forward, in which way can all of us break the soil? I'm going to put this question into the chat box for us again so that we can see it when we're in our breakout rooms. Oops, that did not command B. Here we go. Okay, and once again, you'll be assigned to breakout rooms. You'll have about more than 5 in less than 10 minutes to have great discussions. And we're excited that we will, when we come back, hear what you had to say. Thanks.
Okay. So is there anyone that would like to contribute from their outrageous act of faith and how they might want to break the soil going forward? Just let us know and we'll be able to share with you comments. Now we can only see what we can see on our screen. So the question, we have a question from Audrey Nina to put the question up on the screen.
Oh, the question was up. Look in the chat box.
The chat box.
I put it in the chat box before we went out, but I can repeat it if you'd like.
Okay, we have 3 people that raised their hand. Elisheva, please feel free to unmute yourself. You're not
Yeah,
on.
I'll say that someone in my group, who I won't say the name, but about one of the people just shared something that resonated so deeply, which is that all of us are really required to take a leap of faith right now. I would put money on, if I were a betting woman, that nobody had planned to spend their last 4 months quite like this, and that just the adjustments to get up and do each day and even think about making plans require that.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah. Very true, and a very, very spot on contribution. It really.
Yeah, I want to thank the person in my group, and I don't want to name you because you didn't share it, but it was I just want you to know it hit really deeply.
Thank you very much. I think we all make it an outrageous act of faith each day now to get up and face a new day. So thank you for the person that contributed that. And I know there was another hand or two that was up.
Randy has her hand up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to just thank you for the questions, both of those questions, and that incredibly beautiful song that I think our group will probably continue to talk about. But I want to have actually Paula share, but I think it was sparked by what I did, which was I think the first act of faith I can remember is when I was 18 years old. I met a man whose name was David, and he asked me to marry him 3 days later, and I said yes. And we were married for a very long time.
Wow.
It was a wonderful decision, completely trusting my own instincts. But Paula also had a similar story.
Wow. That's a wonderful.
Somebody put up on the screen, wow, and I second that.
Yes, absolutely. That is wonderful.
Nina, can you see other hands up that I can't? I don't know.
No, I was just checking before. I'll check one more time. I did not see any other hands.
I don't know if
Cheryl?
Paula,
Cheryl has her actual hand up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Cheryl. Oh, she just muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Our group talked about having children. We started, one of the women talked about adopting 3 children from Costa Rica. And I talked then about adopting my son who was from Chile. And we talked about how that is a leap of faith in a way, because you don't know what to expect. And then a third woman who had 3 children biologically talked about how having children that way also can be challenging and different than what your expectations may be. So I guess that's one of the many things we do on our paths that, you know, we can't always anticipate how it's all going to turn out, but it's usually worth going through the process one way or another.
I think that's really interesting because it is an outrageous act of faith. And I think it's also breaking the soil. I think it's both. It takes both of those together and combines them. And other people have been putting into the chat box that they discuss that in their groups as well.
I see that Mel and Marcia have something to contribute as well. And let's unmute. Where are you, Mel and Marcia? Can you unmute yourself? Here you, wait. Where'd you go? Thank you.
Mel and I both recently retired, and it's a very difficult thing to try to do that and to know whether it's going to work or not. And especially with COVID, I've become a gardener.
That's wonderful. I see it. I think that's wonderful, and that's both tilling the soil and taking a leap of faith. I see one more person. Audrey would like to say something.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as the director of Chai Mitzvah, I want to say that in 2008, I met a man, his name was Scott Shea, and he had an idea of how to, that he wanted to encourage people to have a lifelong journey of Jewish growth. And he was very concerned that we don't have enough opportunities for people as we age to stay Jewishly connected and to grow Jewishly. And I was a high school principal, and he asked me if I could create a national program and a national movement to make this happen, to help make this happen with him. And he didn't know me very well, and I didn't know him very well, but he just asked me to do that. I met him at a conference, and we were talking, and he asked me to do that, and I said, yes, I would love to do that, having absolutely no idea how to do that. And here we are. 10 years later, we've had 7,000 people through Chai Mitzvah and hundreds of groups, and it's been such an amazing journey and such a joy and such an amazing process to build this program, and then to see the fruits of it, to see all you at all these different ages continuing to love and grow Jewishly and to explore things. We've had Chai Mitzvah participants that are over 100. And it's such a testament to the spirit of the human spirit for continued growth. And so that was my leap of faith. And you're all the proof of what a joy it's been. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that, because some of us wouldn't be here today if you didn't meet him and take up the gauntlet to take that leap of faith. So I'm really glad you did. And I know Nina is as well. And look at how many people have been touched by that leap of faith. You broke the soil. No. Nina, do we have other comments, or do we want to go forward with the next pair of contributors?
I'm looking to see if anybody else has a hand raised, or if anybody else is here. I don't see anyone else. I think we're ready to go on.
Okay. So our next contributors, we have a pair that are going to share the spotlight right now. And Lori Goldberg and Amy Fisher, who both have written in a sort of related vein. And so we want them to contribute at in the same time. Lori is a retired elementary school guidance counselor, and Amy Fisher is a certified mindfulness-based stress reduction and meditation teacher. And I am proud to say that they are both students of mine and have been for 4 years in my Women's Journey group. And from Lori, we have first a prayer of hope, and from Amy, a compassion prayer. So Lori, I would invite you to share with us first.
A prayer of hope. O Eternal One, the world has lost its way. There are schisms, large and small, erupting everywhere. I despair for the desecration of the earth and the possibility of its destruction. I grieve for the loss of civility among nations and people everywhere. O Eternal One, bestow your grace upon us. Bring love and strength to our hearts. Guide us with your compassion, so we can go forth and heal what is before us in the glory of your name.
Amen. Thank you. Amy? Amy has to unmute. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
All
good.
right. This prayer is dedicated to the memory of Lois Barnett Racklin, who is my cousin. Please, God, give me the courage to look into their eyes, soul to soul. Please, God, give me the patience to listen with open ears. Please, God, the wisdom, bond, and sensitivity. Give me the strength and endurance to honor the promises I make. In these ways, help me to soothe their soul, ease their mind, and fill their
it was hard to hear the recording for me, at least. I don't know, Nina, how about you?
Yeah, I think there was some bad reception.
Okay, your bandwidth is low. It says, Amy, I'm going to reread her contribution because it's lovely and I want people to hear it without the sound system cutting out.
That's great.
Okay, so if everyone would please mute, that will help me be clear in my ability to read to you the same selection. I'm just going to repeat it. Please, God, give me the courage to look into their eyes, soul to soul. Please, God, give me the patience to listen with open ears. Please, God, give me the wisdom to respond with acceptance and sensitivity. Please, God, give me the strength and endurance to honor the promises I make. In these ways, help me to soothe their soul, ease their mind, and fill their hearts with love. Which is just a lovely, lovely contribution. Thank you, Amy, so much.
Yes, thank you. So both of these pieces had to do with compassion, and we're going to have one more discussion, and I'll try and make it a little longer. And I'm going to once again post the question in the chat box.
This is an easier question, folks.
Yes, it's how would you develop a practice of compassion? And I'm sure we're going to have wonderful discussions about it, and I will send you to your breakout rooms now.
Do we have people who would like to respond about how to build a compassion practice? I put my email in the chat box. If you would like a book, reach out to me. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Because I can't see how many hands are up. I don't know if people want to contribute to how would you build a compassion practice. And one of the interesting things that came up in our breakout group was that maybe building a patience practice and building a compassion practice may really actually be deeply connected to each other. But I don't see any hands up unless I browse.
She has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead. Unmute. Yeah. Still muted, still muted.
Unmuted.
You have to unmute. Unmute.
Can you
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're good. Okay.
I shared this and then I got kicked out of the room. It froze, so I don't know. I'll try it again. I felt if you start to learn to listen, sometimes people, and I've had this personal experience, if you're frustrated or you have a problem or something has happened and you're sad, if you tell a friend or somebody, they should just learn to listen. You don't, at that point in time, you don't need someone to tell you about the experience that they had that was very similar, or when this or when they were here, blah, 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 blah. You just should listen and be there for the person. And then if they ask you your opinion, then you can give it, but don't give that unsolicited advice or share that you had a similar blah, blah happen, because that's not compassionate. In my
Thank
opinion.
you for that. Thank you for that. I think that's a very valuable sharing. Thank you very much, Celia.
You're welcome.
I think one of the ways to show compassion is to not to quantify your problems. Some people are always talking about how their problems are worse than everybody else's. And whatever anybody else's problems are, that's what they're dealing with. And I don't see it as a contest of who can complain the loudest. Just listen to that other person and not always have to say, oh, I've got something worse to tell you, because there's always somebody that's doing worse than you, particularly in the last 5 months or so.
Right.
You never know when things are going to change.
Thank you for that. Do we have any others before we move into our final segment?
I'm looking to see if anybody else has a
Any
hand.
other comments before we move
Yes,
forward?
I do.
Okay.
I started to say this in the breakout room, but I never got to finish. I have in the last, during the COVID period, started to call all my relatives and friends once a week and ask them how they're feeling and what they're doing. And it takes a long time and it sometimes makes me crazy, but I do it anyway.
Which is truly a practical act of compassion. You know, we've talked about a lot of different acts of compassion along the spectrum as people are giving feedback. And so this sort of rounds it out to something very concrete that that someone has done. Thank you for sharing that.
I've been spending more time on Facebook and really just being, because I don't see the people I usually see on Friday night at services or anything. And I want to know what's going on. I don't, and we basically just share. We share jokes, we share cartoons. Everybody has been getting everybody to listen to Randy Rainbow. And as opposed to talking about how bored you are and how you feel like the walls are caving in, you know, just share whatever nonsensical thing, and you have the sense that you're still part of a community. And about 2 or 3 groups in my synagogue, small groups, we still meet virtually on a regular basis to keep our programs going.
I think a lot of what you're saying, and I'm going to wrap it after yours and we're going to move forward, is that at this particular time, which is really challenging, a very appropriate way to have a practice of compassion is by listening and being present and witnessing for other people. Because when we gather in those groups and share, even if it's jokes or just, you know, silly things that are not, you know, earth-shattering, believe me, there's enough earth-shattering stuff going on out there, that we take the time to be witnesses for each other and witness our humanity and where we are, which is such a great act of compassion. Nina, I'd like to move forward and share the last piece, if that's okay with you, because I can no longer see you. Okay. The last piece that we'd like to end with, as we move into the final part of the evening, is a prayer that I wrote that appears in the book, which is a healing prayer, because we've moved through a lot of practices this evening and a lot of places in terms of the contributions we've had, and we end on a note of healing. So my prayer is called Prayer for Healing. Eternal source of all life, we come to share our hearts today. Please hear our prayer. Keeper of all life, bless and heal us. Heal those we love. Please hear our prayer. Beloved Shekhinah, heal our fragile planet. Please hear our prayer. God of our ancestors, bring us healing, health, wholeness. Greet us with shalom, shlemut, peace. Please hear our prayer. And I end my prayer by saying amen.
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 We're going to move into a healing chant as we round out the evening. And as Nina said before, you'll be receiving a follow-up letter from Chai Mitzvah with a lot of information that you'll find helpful to connect with Chai Mitzvah going forward, and for other information about the contributors this evening. As we close the evening with a chant, a healing chant, my husband and I are going to share with you. You can feel free to use the chat box and perhaps complete the phrase, I am hopeful for, and share with all of us what your hopes are going forward. I am hopeful for. Please use the chat box and reply to everyone. Ana elna, Rifana lo. Ana elna, Rifana lo. Refuah shlema. Oh, please heal her. Please heal him. Please heal us. Oh, Yah, Adonai, Suri, Ve'wa, Ali, Ana elna, Rifana la, Ana elna, Rifana lo. Ana elna, Rifana lanu, Refuah shlema. Oh, please heal her. Please heal him. Please heal us. Oh, Yah, Adonai, Suri, Ve'goah, Ali, Ana elna, Rifana la, Ana elna, Rifana lo. Ana elna, Rifana lanu, Refuah shlema. Oh, Yah, please heal her. Please heal him. Please heal us. Oh, Yah, Adonai, Suri, Ve'goah, Ali.
Amen.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
joining us
So
today.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Blessings of
Thank you.
peace,
Thank you.
health,
Thank
and
you.
healing to everybody. Be well and
Thank
be
you.
safe.
The same to y'all.
Thank you.
Same to
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you. And Nina, thank you for arranging this. All of you, this was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. It's good to
Thank
see
you.
the faces I know, and even the new faces. It's good to see you
I
all.
met new people in my group. I wish they lived closer. We're ones in California and Florida. We can't visit.
That's right. Well, someday maybe we'll all get to see each other in person. I hope so.
Thank you. And I do want to get that book. I love this. Thank you so much.
Reach out to me. My email's in the chat box for the
I
book.
already copied it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you to
Thank
our
you.
contributors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Hi.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.